photography show. Every week we're in a different location somewhere around the world. We talk about gadgets and cool stuff, and talk about photography, becoming an artist, all this sort of stuff, right? So if you like that sound, if you like the sound of that, just click subscribe as it scrolls by, and you can join us all the time. All right. I'm here with my right-hand man, Curtis. How are you, Curtis?
I'm doing well. I'm warming up. We were out in the cold this morning, but I'm warming up.
We're here on the South Island, New Zealand, in Dunedin, in this beautiful castle. This is called Larnach Castle. And
I didn't want to make everybody dizzy.
Yeah. And look, there's Norcom over there with his dog.
Morning.
He's a castle guy. His dog is Toby. Yeah, really pretty room here. So let us know where you're watching from. It's always cool to see where people are watching from and what the weather's like here. Here it's like cold, 5 degrees, but we've been taking photos. We've been flying. We just actually got done flying the quadcopter a few times. There's this big announcement today at Facebook F8 that you can now stream live from these things. So we were doing a little bit of that. And actually, we have an announcement that's associated with F8. We are doing a new show, okay? It's basically this show,
right.
Becoming an Artist Live. But over the next 6 months, we're going to be visiting 6 continents and doing live shows from all over the place, all right? We'll be doing live drone flights. We'll have on special guests. I'll probably have my normal sidekick back by then. Curtis is our stand-in.
Yeah.
Usually Ruby is with me, but Ruby is off on her own 6-week vacation all over Europe. But she'll be joining me again, or someone else will. And really what Curtis does here is he kind of takes your live questions, because that's one of the coolest things about these live shows, is we know people are watching all over the world. You guys always have questions, and I'm really here to help you, right? This is a show about you and your own kind of artistic struggles. Like, what are you dealing with? Like, personally, I'm struggling with 3 different things artistically right now. But I find this whole process of kind of like becoming an artist and creating yourself to be really interesting. And I think we're sort of in the sweet spot now. We're all kind of creating together. And I think it's just totally wonderful. Yeah. Let me show you what this castle looks like on the outside. Okay. I've got a little brochure here from the gift shop. Exit to the gift shop. That's what it looks like. You might have, if you saw the drone flight this morning, you would have seen that. See all this stuff. There's Norcom with his family. He's going to join us in a little while. We're going to ask him what it was like to grow up in the castle. We'll have to ask him about this dude, that guy with a huge beard and a gun holding a couple dead bunnies or possums or something. That guy looks like a character. We'll have to hear about that guy. Anyway, it's a beautiful castle. I've been here, my first time I came to New Zealand actually was 4 years ago, and I did a camper van trip with my family. And it was my first time driving on the other side of the road, and it was a stick shift RV, so I stick shifted with my left hand. It was quite nerve-wracking, but when we got to this castle, we were totally blown away, and the people here are so nice and everything. It was a big reason that we ended up moving here. You know, we moved to Queenstown about 4 years ago, my wife and 3 kids and I, and we love it. We love coming down here to Dunedin, and we've spent a few days here. Any questions rolling in yet, Curtis?
Yeah, we'll hit you with a hard-hitting question right out the gate, all right?
Bring it on. I like hard-hitting questions.
It is from Larnach Castle. Can you describe your photography in 3 words?
Larnach Castle, 3 words. I think I could do it in 2 words. Mostly confused. You know, I think this is actually why I like landscape photography so much, because, you know, I spend so much time dealing with my own incompetency, like trying to figure out, what to do, like with the next shot, that I can kind of do it like in the peaceful solitude of nature, where I'm slowly trying to figure out, okay, what's my shot? You know, what am I trying to tell with this shot? What's my composition? What are my settings? What kind of shutter speed should I use for this? Should I go in after priority? Is this an HDR situation? Is it not an HDR situation? So I kind of have this checklist that I'm going through. And I think this is probably might come as a surprise to people that, it is always a little bit of a struggle. You know, I'm always a little bit uncomfortable. I do generally know what I'm doing, right? But I still have to go through a checklist of things, right? Just to make sure that I'm doing all these things. I think about it a little bit like yoga. I'm not like this expert yoga guy or anything, but I think that's why they call it practicing yoga. You never become an expert in it. But like, let's just say you're a downward dog, right? every time you get a downward dog, it feels a little bit different, right? Even though you might have done it like 1,000 times, and you kind of go through this checklist in your head, like, okay, where are my hands? Where am I putting my pressure? How am I twisting? It's like a golf swing or anything. You're never totally comfortable, so it's not like a total ape. You can't just like walk into a situation, take the perfect photo, then walk away. Or at least I can't. I think some of those old timers can. They seem to be able to nail that stuff.
They seem to. They
Yeah.
they want to do it all on camera. I mean, you kind of spray and pray a little bit, you know.
Yeah, that's right. And I think it's okay to have a different attitude with digital cameras nowadays because you can take an infinite number of photos and there's no punishment for taking a bad photo. And you get to see it right there on the back of the screen. So you're like, oh, all right, okay, I could make an adjustment. And so you can really iterate. And so I think the creative process is a little bit different when you're digital. You don't have to have this pressure on you. I think a lot of old timers, you know, or people that are like, I know a lot of teachers that really impress upon you the importance to like know exactly what you're going to do. But I think that makes people hesitate. Like they don't feel like they know everything about their camera. They don't really feel like they can experiment. And I think that's a bad attitude.
Right.
Yeah.
So our viewers have like quadrupled in the last couple of seconds. So I just
Okay.
maybe remind everybody you can ask questions just in the comments.
Yeah.
And we'll be watching them. I'll be watching them and try to feed them to Trey. We had another one here, which is, what is your current lens, your current editing monitor by Jerome. Jerome asked this question. So what are you editing on
Right.
at your big desk?
Right. This has changed recently, so I'll give a little synopsis of what's happening there. By the way, if you're just joining us live now, tell us where you're watching from. I love to see all these places scroll up on here. It's really interesting to see where people are watching from. And also, we just announced a new show today. This is it. It's called Becoming an Artist Live. Over the next 6 months, we'll be going to 6 continents. And, we could use your help in choosing where we're going to go. We have a few ideas already, but we really need to flesh this thing out. We're actually going to be spending the first month and a half or so here in New Zealand, going all over New Zealand, South Island, North Island, all the Lord of the Rings locations that everyone knows so well. We'll be doing live drone flights, so you can see like drone's eye view of these places that are just totally spectacular. And then we'll be doing lots of Q&A. I'll have special guests on. We've got some really fun stuff planned for you. So what do I use to edit my photos on? Well, I used to have a huge screen like that Mac, was it 27-inch? Like a 30-inch?
Yeah.
There's a really big one.
It's
Yeah.
the all-encompassing iMac. It wasn't
Right.
a standalone. Yeah.
So I got that iMac that does 4K, really, or maybe it was 5K. What is
No,
it?
I think it was 4.
Maybe
It wasn't.
it's
It
a
wasn't
4K.
even. It wasn't even 4K. I don't think it was just the one prior to that.
No, but then I got the iMac that has the 4K because I love the Retina display.
But that's the
whatever it
one
is.
I may or may not have brought in my luggage.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Yes, sometimes, the name of our website is actually Stuck in Customs, and you would be amazed how much stuff gets stuck in customs. I mean, every week we've got something stuck in customs.
Right.
And it's tough because we work with a lot of companies, and they send us demo stuff all the time to play with. And he's constantly on the phone with customs, getting it out.
Yeah.
It's a big mess. So anyway, I used to love having a big monitor as big as possible. And I think this comes because I was a big gamer, right? I used to build my own machines. And I loved having big monitors, play Quake as big as possible or whatever. So that just kind of got cemented into my head that the bigger the better. Well, I kind of deprogrammed myself now. And now I use a MacBook Pro 15-inch. And it's great. The Retina screen is amazing. It's very fast. And, I don't get really close to the screen, but there's something that happens with your brain. Like when you're focused on a 15-inch screen, it's about that far away from you. It is just as big as it needs to be, right? The way the brain kind of like makes it bigger than it is, it could be like a movie theater. So it's all relative, it's all relative. So, and I simplify now. I used to have multiple computers and started to sync my photos across all these things, my Lightroom libraries and catalogs. It was just a big mess. But now I just do everything on the MacBook Pro, and I have a much simpler, more zen life.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Philip Aaron, here's another question.
Okay.
We get this one a lot. Do you shoot in? I'll simplify his question. He says, "Do you shoot mostly in AP or manual?" But let's just open up to say, what mode do you shoot in on your camera?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
'Cause out of the box is probably something auto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Philip, it is a common question, and it's a good one because there are a lot of teachers out there, photography teachers. I am not one of them. And I'm not critiquing other teaching styles. However, they do make a huge impression that you really should be shooting on manual, otherwise you're not a real photographer, right? I think that's ridiculous. You can even leave your camera in auto mode. You don't even have to go into aperture because these cameras are really, really smart now. Don't forget that you're not just buying a camera, but you're also buying a computer. There's a whole computer in there, and it's looking at the light. It's figuring out what the settings should be for you. All right, so let it help you out. So I would just, out of the box, I would just keep it on auto and just shoot. Work on your composition. Okay, that's the first thing to learn, like composition, how to make an interesting shot, how to take pictures of your cat. You can get some cat shots or your pet shots, get those down, try different compositions, and then try switching to aperture priority. And aperture priority, by the way, means that you get to set the aperture yourself, like a low aperture, like f2.8, which makes the background all kind of blurry. That's kind of a fun thing when you discover that. Or make it like f30, which means everything will be in focus. So you start playing with that. And then what happens in aperture priority is the computer inside figures out the shutter speed, okay? Rather than you having to say like, oh, I think this is 1/800th of a second. To me, that's very hard to figure out. Like, oh, is this 1/2000th of a second or 1/8000th of a second? It can have a tremendous effect on the look of the photo, but also I kind of clear my mind with from these actuarial tables so that I can just focus on being creative, right? And I do find that photography attracts like really left-brained analytical people who are actually quite good at figuring that kind of stuff out, right? But the more like you keep thinking about the math and the physics and the optics, you're just kind of like number crunching. It's hard to be number crunching and creative at the same time. So I put the camera in a mode that's just about the easiest, right? And I do know all the settings, of course, but I just kind of let that be underneath, and then I kind of float on top, and I'm creative on top of that. So that's really the key, I think.
All right. You ready for one more?
Yes.
Another hard-hitting one?
Okay.
All right. So, Johan Bosgra, what photographers have inspired or influenced you the most? Because I'm personally inspired by Michael Kenna and Joseph Hoffner.
Right. Okay. Well, good question. My answer might surprise you in that I'm actually, I would say nowadays, much more influenced by just average, that's not wrong, by like everybody, right? Mm-hmm. Like for example, we've got this Facebook group, which I encourage everyone to join. It's called Trey's Funky Lounge. That's where we go on and we talk about, our artistic struggles. We post photos, we critique photos, all that kind of stuff. We also talk about this show. It's kind of like a place where you talk and get to know each other. Well, I can just look on there. People are posting mm-hmm. photos, and I see amazing stuff, right? And these are people that I haven't heard of.
Right.
They're not like these famous people. They don't post their photos on Facebook. I don't know. But nowadays, there are so many interesting photographers. You jump on 500px, and you're just blown away every day. It's like, oh my gosh, this stuff is so amazing. And most of the time, I look at the name, and I've never heard of the person. I kind of make a mental note of it. I might follow them or something like that. So it's really you guys that inspire me. I guess one of the old-timer kind of photographers that I do like for sure is Edward Curtis. He took pictures of Native Americans back in the day. A lot of respect for that guy. That's hard work what he did.
He's got a good name. Yeah.
He does.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
2 first names.
Yes. Anything else on that?
No, nothing else on that one. Yeah.
All right. How about this one? Back to a techie question.
Okay.
We've
got a big techie crowd.
We're also
That's
geeks. Right. Dominic Dentis is asking any recommendations on cloud storage. He mentions
cloud storage.
He mentions CrashPlan, which I'm actually partly responsible for the business side. I probably should push you towards this, but maybe you start with your desktop situation, what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then we can move to cloud, talk about where we're going with cloud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is another ever-evolving landscape of backups. So I put everything on my MacBook Pro, and then I've got those 2 little LaCie drives that are Lightning connection or Thunderbolt connection, really fast. And so when I'm on a trip or something, every week I'll just do a dump of my local Lightroom catalog to that drive, okay? Usually I have 2 of them, and I put them in different spots, like different bags, maybe one in my in my everyday messenger, one in my suitcase, just in case one gets stolen, I have a backup. So that's what I do on the road. And then when I'm back at home, I use these Promise Pegasus drives. I have an 18 terabyte thing. It's a big old, it's like a little, refrigerator. And it's redundant, it's rated, right? So if one drive goes down, which has happened a few times, you just swap out that drive and it resyncs everything. That seems to work pretty well. Cloud-wise, there are a lot of solutions. I currently keep my my portfolio on SmugMug. Okay, it's a safe place, which is, I think SmugMug is just it's like a skin on top of Amazon S3 really. So you're really using S3 storage. You can use Google Drive. I think you get like a massive amount for really cheap there. Dropbox works pretty well too. That's maybe a little bit more limited. I have just started using CrashPlan though. By the way, none of these things that I mentioned are sponsors or anything like that. And I'm still getting to know CrashPlan. My problem is that I already have like 12 terabytes of pictures. So it's taken a while to upload. In fact, I checked it like before I came here. It says just like 4 months remaining until your upload is done. So, but I think that they have a way that I can send them a big drive just to get it started. But I've been too busy to really look into that.
I started a Dropbox thing the other day, and what did it say? It said something like, it'll be done someday. It just said something very indeterminate. Yeah, which did not give me any hope.
Yeah.
I think we should bring on our special guest now.
Yes. Come on board.
Yes.
Bring them on over.
Yes, and I'm actually going to awkwardly step out of the camera because we don't want to view. Yes.
All right. How's it going, Norcom?
Yeah.
Norcom Barker. So you actually grew up in this castle.
I did. My parents bought this just on 50 years ago.
All right.
So, all my life here.
And it wasn't always in this stately state, was it?
No, we've just actually finished renovating this room, so it's a good room to do this in. But
Right.
yeah, when I was a child, I still remember it was basically a room. So when it rained outside, it pretty much rained inside, and it was my job as a child to run around with pots and pans in the kitchen to grab all the leaks. Yeah.
Wow. And so what made it get into such disrepair before your family purchased it and restored the whole thing?
To go back to Larnach Castle, he bought this, he built it in 1871, which is pretty early in our country's history, and then he committed suicide in Parliament Building, so it's got a fascinating history.
Yeah.
Then it was sold after that, and it went through being used in mental hospital, and went to rack and ruin a couple of times, got restored a couple of times.
Right.
And my parents literally bought it on the doorstep from some people, so it's been gone over the years. I mean, there's a fascinating, this is the picture of the painting of the castle in 1889. You see the difference in the trees there.
Yeah, there's hardly any trees there. Now there's massive trees all over the place.
So it's changed a lot over the years.
Yeah. Well, it's a really awesome place. It's very special. Do you have expansion plans with more and more tourists coming in? How many people come here each year?
Yeah, good question. It's probably about over 100,000 now, well over 100,000.
Wow.
But what we don't want to do is ruin the experience, so we're pretty happy with the numbers we've got.
Okay.
We just want to open up more of the castle because we're always doing renovations. You can see scaffolding outside.
Right. Yeah.
So there's always things going on, and we
Yeah.
want to open up more of the rooms, have more interpretation. We've just done an app, tailor-made. The people who do the America's Cup, all of those sort of things, they've just done an app for us.
Okay.
So we're using that to get the better interpretation, putting
right.
technology in here. So we've always got things going on.
Yeah, well, it's an amazing property. Thank you for inviting us. Let us stay here.
Oh,
People may not know this. Actually, I didn't even know this until we just came down, that you can actually stay at the castle, and then they have like this dinner. They have this feast. You have this massive feast. It was great. Yeah, I was really impressed.
Glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, who doesn't like sleeping in a castle, having a feast in a castle? It's awesome.
Yeah, it's the only one in the country.
Well, all right. Okay, well, thank you very much. Now we're going to do this thing in the show where we pick a favorite photo from the group, and I'll kind of give a little bit of a critique. All right?
Good job.
All right, thanks, dude. All right, I'll see you when we're done. We'll play with your dog, Toby. Here, can I grab that from you, Melissa? Please. So right now we're going into the group. There's Toby, by the way. Everyone likes to see a little dog action. Look at that. This is a total castle dog. Look at this, just totally relaxing. Look at this. Do you ever go hunting with this dog?
No,
Is it a hunting dog?
It's hopeless.
Oh.
Not good at that.
What a cute dog.
Does well, though.
Everyone likes a cute dog, Toby. And that's Gene right there. That's Mean Gene, the coding machine. So a lot of you guys have heard of the Arcana. www.thearcanum.com. This is sort of a little photography website that we started. We use a master and apprentice system. Anyway, Gene is the main coder behind that whole thing. And there's Melissa over there. How are you, Melissa? Okay, now I'm going to show. So this is our group, okay, where we have all kinds of awesome group activity. I was talking about some of these pictures earlier, and you can see how they're just so great. I want to pick, that's a weird one, the guy with a mermaid. It looks like Steve Wozniak holding a mermaid, doesn't it?
It may be that guy with
Is that you, Woz?
that always has photos he shares of his.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Of his family situation. Yeah, there's some really interesting stuff in here. There's this one that particularly caught my eye. I think this one is great. Look at that. Look at those colors. Share some of your stuff. Yeah, this is a great one. Great shot, Martin. So everyone kind of come on in and comment on each other's photos, make some new friends, and put up some work that you're doing. And also you can have like personal conversations, like what you're struggling with and what you're trying to figure out. All that sort of thing. Are you looking at that mermaid shot?
Yeah, what is going on here? What's going on here? There's a lot
Look at
to
that.
analyze in this photo.
Yes.
Everything from
This
the
is
equipment.
Sierra Lore.
Yeah, what's going? There's
like-
equipment. The
Yeah.
look on her face is
Yeah.
one of slight fear, I think.
Yeah, this is not a typical kind of photo that we have in here. Anyway, that's Sierra
Oh,
Lore.
it's in Austin, Texas, where you're from.
Yeah, that's where I lived the last few years. All right, so if any of you guys want to come join, this is it up here. It's facebook.com/groups/becoming-an-artist. Okay, come on in there. Come join us. There's all kinds of great discussions, lots of fun. Everyone is very nice. You know, I noticed that because I'm sort of an open-hearted dude. See, we got three more people want in. Okay, you guys are in. You're in there like swimwear. I noticed that like this attracts other open-hearted, kind of vulnerable people. So, yeah, all kinds of really fun discussions going on. So come join the fun. Okay, here you can aim this at me, and I will tell people goodbye. All right, you guys, that was fun. I hope you had a good time. Like I said, join us many more times over the next 6 months. We're going to 6 continents. We could use some help choosing where to go. Like we know in South America, we're going to go to the Christ the Redeemer statue. We could do some cool drone flights around there. We'll go to this place called Iguazu Falls, which is unbelievable.